Recently, I've been shooting a lot of film photography, and if you're watching this video, then you probably do too. And I've been trying to digest the absolutely expensive cost tied to it as well. Paying hundreds of dollars for antique cameras, $20 for a roll of film, $12 to have it developed, and another $8 to have it scanned on an Epson flatbed scanner that churns out files that look like a toaster strudel. Now you can either pay your lab for crap scans or you can do it yourself and save a couple bucks. If I can save $8 per roll of film, then I can effectively shoot, 25% more film for the same price? Sounds good to me. So today we're gonna take a shot at DIY negative scanning. We're gonna 3D print our own film carriers, and I'm gonna also make my own copy stand that's gonna cost me $0. We're gonna do it the cheapest and simplest way possible because shooting film's complex enough. I'm gonna scan some negatives that my lab already scanned, and then we can compare their scans with my scans and then see if this is really worth it or if it was just a big waste of time. So there's a few things that you're gonna need if you wanna scan at home. You're gonna need a mirrorless camera and you're gonna need a macro lens. Now, I happen to have two macro lenses. I have this 90mm macro lens, which is a modern lens, and then I also have this vintage Fujinon 55mm f3.5 macro lens. Since I'm a nice guy, I will compare both of these for you because not every one of you is gonna have a high-end macro like my 90mm macro. Some of you might want something a little bit more cost-effective, and this you could probably get on eBay for, I don't know, 50, 100 bucks. I really don't know. Very cheap. So we're gonna compare both of these. Now you also need a film scanning light. I went with the Slide Viewer Lightbox Ultra Thin A4 USB powered light scanner for photo slide and film negative scanning, Christmas gift, tattoo drawing, artist sketch. And this one stood out to me because it was only $18.99 with free shipping from Amazon. I've linked it in the description for you. Now I was looking at the listing and they were just raw dogging the negative right on the scanner. That's probably fine, but I read online that that can introduce light leakage on the side and give you lower quality scans. So if you're okay with that, that's fine, but I don't know. I'm gonna go the extra mile here and try to make this just a little bit better. Okay, so here are my film carriers. This is the 35mm film carrier, and this is the 120mm film camera. It's crazy the difference in size of the negatives. So like, I don't know, this is huge. I actually had to modify the print for 645 because it originally was designed for 6x9 film. So I'm gonna be shooting 645 soon. If you shoot 120, what sizes do you shoot? I actually had to wrap both of them in electrical tape because the plastic from my 3D print was actually scratching the really high-end film light that I bought for $18 on Amazon. So if you're thinking about buying that light, be prepared to be very careful around it because all those little scratches could maybe show up in scans. This is kind of nice. Achoo! But anyways, here's a negative from a recent roll I developed. You basically just tuck it in to here, and then you can see your negatives in there. I'll put some light behind it. Actually, that's way too bright. Well, anyway, you'll see in a minute. You'll see in a minute, but this is the negative. And the cool thing is you can just like kind of push it along here, and then it'll put your next one in there. All right, so I wanted to kind of set my camera up above the scan plate. Instead of buying what they're called a copy stand, instead of buying one, I'm just gonna make one. What you need here is you need a piece of plywood, and there's our plywood. And then I have some pipes in here that have these little standoffs. Now we need just another little piece of wood. All right, yeah, this is like borderline perfect. So this is gonna be the collar for our copy stand. And then you're gonna need a piece of plywood. So I got this piece of plywood. And then I wanna drive long screws through this just because I'm gonna mount my camera on this pipe and I don't want it to, you know, fall off and break, and then, you know, it wouldn't be the cheapest copy stand ever. It would be the most expensive copy stand ever. But we're gonna screw this piece of wood here, and then we're gonna screw this pipe on top of it, and then we're gonna take our light panel, and that's gonna go like this here. And yeah, so you'll see. Now I'm gonna tape this board over here because I want the connection to happen from the underside, and I don't want the board to move. So, got these little deck screws here. We're just gonna drive them straight through and hope that it doesn't split. Okay, so that's on there pretty good. Now we got our bar here. We're gonna screw our bar right through that. Now this is in no way pretty, but it's functional. I have this Manfrotto clamp thing that I bought a couple years ago for like, I don't know, 20, 30 bucks. Obviously you're gonna need that to really make this deal work. You basically just set your clamp at whatever height you want. It comes with this little standoff here that you can put on your camera. Basically just put your camera right on here, and then you take your plate here and you just pop it under there. You adjust your height for whatever you're scanning, and boom, you're done. There you have it. So this entire film scanning setup, including the spirit levels, only cost me $28 and some random parts that I had in my house, as well as equipment that you obviously need and or might already have. This, in my opinion, is the cheapest way to scan film. It's a very stable setup. This is probably just as stable as any other copy table you can get on the market. At the end of the day, I think it's best to try and figure out how to solve problems without relying on Amazon or, you know, the internet to go and just buy equipment that you really don't need. You can literally accomplish 99% of your problems with less money spent if you just use your brain. So I'm excited to scan some stuff. Let's see how it turns out. Let's get started. So let's look at some of the results. Now, I checked things out really close up. It's gonna be hard for you to see some of the nuances on the YouTube video. From the vintage lens to the modern Sony lens, the results are very similar. When you compare it to the scans I get from my lab, I would say there's a little bit more saturation in the product that I can create here at my home, but there is an issue that just kind of totally ruins it for me. The scanning light that I paid $18 for has very visible horizontal like little light lines that appear in the scans, and it really kind of ruins the texture of the film. I'm assuming that maybe I could add like some type of diffusion paper, but for that reason, I really can't recommend that scan light all that well unless you truly don't care about some of the fine details associated with shooting film. A lot of people want to be able to see that film grain, so to have it sort of muddied by those horizontal lines is really not that great. That being said, I think that my copy stand worked really well. I think that the 3D printed film carriers worked really well, and I have no complaints in either of those areas. I would just say that the actual scan light is just showing its true value, to be completely honest with you. I had a good time with this experiment. I'm probably gonna continue to use this setup and maybe try to make some changes to the to the scan light to see if I can't get better results out of it. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I'm uploading new videos every single week and they're either about DIY setups, vintage lens adaptations, or old school cameras. Thanks, and I'll talk to you very, very soon.
Peace.